Hi, Sheridan Webb here from the Training Designers Club, which is the place to go for practical L&D support, especially if you are a lone L&D practitioner who is meeting yourself coming backwards. We help to make things quicker, easier and less stressful. And today, I don't think it's quite amusing, it's not quite a how-to, but it's something that I want to share with you. As we were preparing to set off for a family weekend, we have checklists upon checklists going on. We've all got one and they've all got different things on them, and it's exactly the same whenever we go anywhere. And I bet you might be the same as well, having a checklist, and we love our to-do lists, don't we? And you know, when you run a training course, the chances are you've got a list of equipment and support material so that you can very quickly see, this is what I need to run this session, and make sure that you've got it, pull it all together really quickly. But how many of you use a checklist when you're designing? I do. It's not to say that you have a checklist with session plan, slides, workbook, because that's kind of inherent. We know that we're going to create those things. But if you've seen any of my training, if you've listened to more than a dozen of my tips, you'll know that I always recommend starting with this session plan. So once you've done your outline, that is, so we do our outline first and foremost, because that keeps us on the straight and narrow, and then we design the session plan. And I always recommend trying to design that session plan in one go, or in big chunks of time, and don't get distracted because your brain needs to be in flow. So this is where the checklist comes in. As you are writing that session plan, you need to create a checklist alongside it. So you may use a handout. So for example, use the Think Differently exercise. So you just write down Think Differently handout. You may think, oh, I really want to write some case studies here, or I need to get some data from my organisation for people to analyse. Put that on your checklist. Maybe you need to source some additional reading, refer to the such and such an article, put that on your checklist. Maybe you need to add something into a pre-course assignment, put that in your checklist, so that when you're designing, you don't lose your flow, you can keep going. But when you've done that session plan, you can then have a nice list of everything else that you need to create, all the supporting materials that you need to design. And not only will that make sure that you don't miss anything, it will also help you to plan your time better. So you'll be much more efficient, you'll be able to give it the time it deserves, and you won't be there at 11 o'clock at night the night before still trying to come up with a case study because you've written it into the session plan and you still have nothing to show for it. So that's my advice, musing, tip, whatever it may be for today. Use checklists not only when you're delivering, but also designing. It will help you be more efficient, and it will help make things quicker, easier and less stressful. And for more tips to help make designing quicker, easier and less stressful, do visit the Training Designers Club, which is www.trainingdesignersclub.co.uk.